Bryan Gaiser is an investment advisor representative of Advisory Alpha LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed by Bryan Gaiser are solely his own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Advisory Alpha. This recording is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Investment advisory and financial planning services offered through Advisory Alpha LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance, coaching, and educational services offered through Gaiser Financial Group. Gaiser Financial Group is a separate and unaffiliated entity of Advisory Alpha LLC. While tax and legal services may be discussed in the general course of financial and investment planning, Advisory Alpha does not provide tax or legal services. Please consult with your tax or legal professional prior to making decisions related to these issues. This material is not endorsed or approved by the Social Security Office or any other government agency. An annuity is a long-term financial product designed largely for asset accumulation and retirement needs. All guarantees are backed by the claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. All opinions expressed by externally cited sources are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Advisory Alpha. This is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. The case studies presented reflects the specific circumstances of one client and should not be considered a guarantee that another client or potential client may experience the same or certain level of results. This is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as investment recommendations or solicitation. Names have been changed to protect the anonymity of clients and are not testimonials in nature. Learn, grow, and take charge of your retirement. This is the Wealth Through Wisdom podcast with financial advisor Bryan Gaiser, founder of Gaiser Financial Group.
Bryan, I know one of the biggest questions folks come to you with is understanding how best to claim Social Security, because aren't there something like over 200 ways to file for Social Security? It might be even more than that. There's hundreds and hundreds of ways to do it.
567.
Okay. So it was twice as much as I thought. 567 ways. And that's just one of the decisions that we have to make for our retirement.
And thankfully I just said 5, 6, 7.
It's exhausting.
See, it makes it easy. 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. The number one reason people claim Social Security early on is because they need that money at that time. But Morningstar's Christine Benz encourages everybody to pause before you take that step. Here's what she said.
If you do have portfolio assets that you can potentially pull from instead, the big benefit is that you can enlarge your benefit for when you eventually do claim Social Security. And that benefit will be larger for your whole life, as well as your spouse, if he or she will be reliant on your benefits. I think sometimes people forget that side benefit. If your spouse is going to be taking a spousal benefit versus using their own Social Security benefit, the value can really be there, even if you think your life expectancy might not be that great. If your spouse may live longer than you, the value could be there in delaying.
So, Bryan, how do we figure this out? What tools do you use to help determine whether delaying Social Security makes sense for somebody or if they should go ahead and begin as soon as possible?
You know, the big thing I hear with people is like, Bryan, if I delay it, what if, I want to take it at 65 or 66 or 67? Mm-hmm. I'm going, there's nothing wrong with that. Or I want to take it at 62. I said, but let's just make sure it's part of your plan. It makes sense financially, because see, if you draw money from your IRA, it's 100% state and federal taxes, right? If you draw money on your Social Security, it's anywhere from 0 to 85% of it's taxable. So it's like the more Social Security grows, that money's more friendly to taxes. Does that make sense?
Not
the
like,
larger
it's more friendly, not in a good way. It's friendly to the government, not necessarily to us. Is that what you're saying?
Social Security is friendly. No, Social Security, there's no state tax.
Okay.
In the worst case scenario, 15% of it is tax-free federally and state.
Okay, got it.
So the point is that per dollar, you get to keep more of that than you do your IRA money. So do you create a plan where you draw from your IRA some, draw it down because you're going to have your RMDs in the future, and then turn on your Social Security? Because from age 67 to age 70, it's going to grow at 8%.
Got it.
So in other words, if you're going to get $2,000, now you're going to get $2,480 if you wait to age 70. But the big thing I get from people is, but Bryan, what if I try to wait? And I'm not saying waiting to 70. Everything's unique for everybody. So please understand me. That doesn't mean, I'm going to wait till I'm 70. It just all depends on your circumstance. But in some cases, it looks like it's the best route for a lot of people. I said, well, wait to age 70. Let's just assume that's the number. They said, well, Bryan, what if I died at age 68? Now, I could have drawn it at 62 and had it for 6 years. I said, I got a good answer for you. You won't know about it because you're dead. But what you will know about is that survivor benefit for your wife being much larger and much more tax friendly, and it's a single person or yourself. Because remember, you go from a joint filer to a single filer when somebody passes away, right? Unless you get remarried.
Right.
You don't plan to die, you plan to live. Does that make sense? if you die, you won't know about it, that you didn't collect because you're gone. People need to plan. When they plan in retirement, you're planning to live, not die. But along the way, but you do come back to the what if I die? Is everybody taken care of, right? And so it's just very tax-friendly money. If you can put it off, draw from your IRAs first. Roth's the last thing you want to draw from, starting your Social Security later down the road. Now, if you got health issues and things, you want to change that as well. And I had a client that came in to see me some years back, and she's like, I'm a nurse, and I'm here in Greensboro, but I do want to move to Florida when I turn 65. I think I'm going to. I'm going to go ahead and take my Social Security. I'll have health care because of Medicare. You can take it at 65, and I can reduce my hours, yada, yada, yada. We went over that, and I said, well, why are you waiting? I said, you're a nurse. You can work anywhere you want to work. You can go down there. She thought for sure there's an area of Tampa Bay she wanted to live in. Yeah. Well, she lives in a whole different spot now. I said, see what I mean? Go on down there. You can live down there. Your kids have already moved away, right? One's living in, I think, Mississippi, and the other one up in Pennsylvania. Okay. I said, why? There's nothing really holding you here anymore. Her daughter used to live here. And I was sitting here and I said, why not go ahead and just go to Florida and start establishing yourself? She's still a client to this day, and it's been 14, 15 years. Yeah. And the point is, I said, let's build you a structured income. Well, she was 62 when she finally moved. She was 61 when she came in, 62. 2 years into that, her ex-husband, who she was the father of her kids, who she was married to for years, he hadn't got remarried. She's not remarried. And so that meant she could take his Social Security early. So she was able to take his Social Security and change to hers at age 70 later on in life. So in other words, it changed our plan a little bit. So you got to stay flexible. So we had our plan to take it at 67 under her scenario, right? Draw off her IRA. Well, now she was able to take his Social Security. She ended up taking it at 65. Okay. Her Social Security continues to grow to age 70. She gets switched back to hers, which was going to be larger. So we were able to fill that in. Now, we didn't want anything to happen to them. It's a tragic accident. Of course. And needless to say, but still the rule is you can still collect off your ex-spouses if you were married for at least 10 years and they get remarried. Got it. And so in her case, that worked out, of course, by a surprise, but we were set up to take it at 67 and whatnot. But she was able to retire at 65, but she did work 1 day a week so that she kept herself under the minimum that you're allowed to earn. Yeah. And she worked 1 day a week. And I said, I have a feeling when you turn 66 in her case, I said, I have a feeling you're going to go back, you're going to work 2 days a week. And lo and behold, she worked 2 days a week till about 71 because she loved what she did. Yeah. She caught the perfect spot. Then she had this thing tear down her saying, do I quit? Folks, everybody's different. Everybody's situation is different, and you got to stay flexible. You want to really put yourself in the driver's seat. You need to look at your big picture. 336-586-5861. Let's look at your big picture. Let's design a plan and look out 3 years and come back to today and build a plan that gets you there in 3 years, then 10, right? Because a lot will happen in that 10 years. So it's going to move to different areas of your life. So the bottom line is no cost, no obligation. I'm going to sit down and give you your time, and you're going to give me yours. I promise you I won't waste your time. When you walk out of here, you'll at least know 3 or 4 things that you didn't know before that make you feel more certain about retirement. Once again, 336-586-5861. Give us a call. I'd be happy to talk with you, be happy to build you a plan that you can be confident in.
We've opened up 5 spots on the calendar just for radio listeners today. So call us right now. Let's set a time for you to meet with Bryan about your own Social Security and retirement income strategy. 336-586-5861. If you're 5 to 10 years from retirement, if you've saved at least $500,000, that's where you're really going to see the power of this kind of planning take effect. And Bryan and his team ready to show you what they can do for you. 336-586-5861. Give us a call right now and reserve one of these 5 spots for yourself. 336-586-5861. Bryan, the original question in this conversation, I was asking you, what tools do you use to determine how to create a Social Security strategy for somebody? And it sounds to me, it's really, there's one tool, it's math and understanding each person's unique circumstance. Because with over 500 ways to file for Social Security, I would have to imagine everybody's got a different need.
We use software and all that. That stuff's boring to talk about, but the bottom line
Right.
is the software and the math behind it.
Yeah.
Granted, it can do the math quicker than me.
Yeah.
But if I don't understand unique situation, how do I put in the input for the software?
Right.
And so we use software to determine what your big picture looks like. What are your income streams? All of these kind of variables. What are your taxes going to look like? So we run a mock tax on standard deduction, things along that line. And by doing that, we can look and go, okay, here's the income you'll have, and here's how many dollars you get to keep of that income stream, right? Mm-hmm. From your Social Security to your pensions to if you create a pension with your own annuity, whatever it may be that you do. Mm-hmm. We look at your big picture, let you know how many dollars. The big thing where people really misunderstand is they don't understand how taxes are. And what do I mean by that? Is this, you get to keep way more dollars than when your earned income. Your earned income has employment tax and all these other things. In most cases, you'll get to keep a lot more of your dollar, right?
Okay.
And when they realize that, you mean all I have to, I'm making $150 a year, but if I had about 100 in income streams between my Social Security, pensions, and what have you, mm-hmm. I bring home just as much. I said, yeah, because you're not contributing to a 401k. Yeah, because you're not paying for that high level health care.
Yeah.
Yeah, right down the line. All of these things. I said, look at all the debits that you have. Employment money is some of the most expensive money there is out there, right? Being employed, it is the most taxed money there is. Passive income is so much better. If you have a Roth, we filter that in. Standard deductions today, you get an extra $6,000 if you're over 65. Both of you get one if you're both over 65. It's all of these kind of variables, and we put that into play. And then we look for opportunity to maybe do a Roth. Folks, no cost, no obligation. What do you have to lose? Nothing. I'll tell you that right now. When you walk away from here, you're going to feel pretty good about the next 3 years, the next 5 years, the next 10 years, and so on and so forth. But most importantly, ask yourself this question: what has to happen over the next 3 years for me to feel successful? And if you haven't planned for your retirement, folks, you need to plan for your retirement in advance. Or if you're in retirement and you really don't have a plan you are sold on or that you feel good about, give us a call, 336-586-5861. 336-586-5861.
Thanks for listening to the Wealth Through Wisdom podcast. To learn more, visit geiserfinancial.com. Bryan Gaiser is an investment advisor representative of Advisory Alpha LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed by Bryan Gaiser are solely his own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Advisory Alpha. This recording is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Investment advisory and financial planning services offered through Advisory Alpha LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance, coaching, and educational services offered through Gaiser Financial Group. Gaiser Financial Group is a separate and unaffiliated entity of Advisory Alpha LLC. While tax and legal services may be discussed in the general course of financial and investment planning, Advisory Alpha does not provide tax or legal services. Please consult with your tax or legal professional prior to making decisions related to these issues. This material is not endorsed or approved by the Social Security Office or any other government agency. An annuity is a long-term financial product designed largely for asset accumulation and retirement needs. All guarantees are backed by the claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. All opinions expressed by externally cited sources are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Advisory Alpha. This is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. The case studies presented reflects the specific circumstances of one client and should not be considered a guarantee that another client or potential client may experience the same or certain level of results. This is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as investment recommendations or solicitation. Names have been changed to protect the anonymity of clients and are not testimonials in nature.